Hey readers, now before you watch this video, you should have clicked the other two videos on Google Classroom. One is a version of the Three Little Pigs. The other is a version, a story, the true story of the Three Little Pigs. So before you watch this video, please make sure you've listened to both of those, so you can press pause and go do that. If you have listened and watched both of those videos, what I want to know in a YouTube comment right here on this video is, how are these two stories different? And how are these two stories the same? What are the similarities? What are the differences between those two stories? So go ahead and pause this video, leave a YouTube comment, press play when you're ready. So I look forward to reading those comments. So we listened to two stories. One is the traditional true story of the Three Little Pigs, but the other one tells a different side of the story from the point of view of the wolf. He's the one telling the story in that second version. We see situations like this where stories are told differently, perhaps after recess on the playground, where maybe you got into an argument with somebody, and your story is going to sound a little different from the person telling the story who you got in the argument with. So this is all about who's telling the story. Depending on who is telling the story, readers might get a very different version of events. So we've got a cartoon here, two people standing on different sides of a number. If you look, this guy, to him it looks like a 9. To this guy, it looks like a 6. So depending on who's telling the story, you might get a different version of events. Today I want to teach you that readers start a book by trying to figure out who the narrator is, who's the one telling the story. And once they figure out whose voice they're hearing, or whose perspective they are getting, they keep in mind that every part of the story is told from that character's perspective, and that other characters might imagine things differently or have different feelings. So again, it's all about who's telling the story. That's the version of it you're going to get. So take Home of the Brave, for example. Think of the very opening scene. At first, we can be a little confused, not sure of who's speaking or who the narrator is, what they're doing. But then on page 4, the narrator is referred to as Keck. So if we listen to page 4 here, we hear, "I am a tall boy, like all my people. My arms stick out of the coat like lonely trees. My fingers cannot make the gloves work. I shake my head. I say this America is hard work." So it's revealed that Keck is our narrator, the young boy who's just coming to America. So you might, we know who's telling the story there, and so he's afraid. He's coming to this country for the first time. It's different from his old home country. But what I want to do is imagine, what if this story was initially being told by Dave, the man who's picking him up? What if it was originally told by Dave? So what could happen here is we could picture him in the airport, nervous that Keck is getting there, nervous that maybe he won't find him, nervous that he won't like him. So we can hear the story told differently, depend on who is the one telling the story. So as you are reading today, I want you to take some time to think about the perspective in your book. Who's telling the story, and how does that affect how the story is being told? What if it were different? Now, you don't need to leave a YouTube comment on this, but if you are interested, you can do your reading response today talking about the perspective of your book. What you can also do is fill your independent book with sticky notes. Where do you have clues as to who the narrator is, and where does that really affect how your story was being told? What if it were different? Happy reading!